Hi, good evening. So, any confusions or clarifications for the concept we learned yesterday or questions?
Have you uploaded these questions?
Over the drive, sorry, I didn't do that. Let me do that right away. Yeah, I uploaded it. You can use it.
Thank you.
Let me share my screen. So yesterday we were looking in this concept, right? So before getting into this, let me quickly explain you about the concept of casting in an easy way using your primitive types. So once you're clear on this, you'll be able to understand this in a better way. Um, So have you so far you have any questions on the type reference, like assigning the super type with the subclass object, like this way, like your parent class getting assigned with child class? What happens? What kind of properties gets invoked? Like you have any questions over there?
That part is clear. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So what is this wrapper classes is all about? For all your primitive types, from your numerical to floating, everything, they are in the int, they are in the primitive types which have some kind of memory predefined by your Java system. Whereas in your objects, you can have any number of data which can hold that amount of data, but there is no predefined memory defined for your objects. So that is the reason the Java system has brought something called as wrapper classes. Basically, wrapper is nothing but your kind of encapsulation logic. So you're going to wrap your primitive types on top of your object, and together you make it as a class called integer class. So if you have something int as your primitive type, you're going to wrap it with your object class, and you're going to make it as integer class. So for each primitive type, you have the respective wrapper class provided from your java.lang package. So before going to that, you need to understand what is an object class. So for every wrapper class, inherently, like implicitly, there is a class getting used as your parent class, which is nothing but your object class. Let me say so this particular class, object.class, is available again in your lang package under reflex section. Okay, so if this particular class, this is said to be your topmost class in Java. Why this is said to be your topmost class? Because whatever class you're writing, by default, this would be imported from your parent class object. So that is the reason, if you wanted to check what is the memory location of this object, for this particular object, if I see there are multiple methods like clone method, hash code method, toString method, get class, finalize, notify, wait. So there are multiple methods already been provided, but in my actual wrapper class, I haven't created any methods. So it is actually implementing or inheriting your main parent class called object class, and all those methods can be used by all the child classes, that is all your customized classes. And that is the reason we say the unknown and the topmost class of your Java is always object. So why do we need this object class? What is the benefit of having this object class? What are the methods we have over here? Is something we'll be seeing today. So the first one, for every object, your memory gets created in stack or heap. Can someone say where your object gets created?
Stack.
Stack? Are you sure?
No, it's heap actually. Object, reference, instance, everything. In
So
heap
all your
format,
objects
dynamic.
will be created under heap memory and not on stack memory. Stack memory just holds your variable references.
Variable.
So now if you want to see the location of this particular wrapper class object which you have created, you have something called hash code. So if you go into this hash code, there's some logic already being implemented by the system, and it gives you some. So whenever you see this native keyword, right, this is being developed by your C++ code, and it is like very specific to your bytecode representation. And in this hash code, if you print this object, you will get some kind of hexacode value get printed over there that represents your address of this particular object. So some random kind is getting created for the first time, right? If I execute again, this time also I get the same address because it has been created. Now let me create one more object. And though I created object of similar class, the object name is different. So my memory address is getting created in a different way. So there is way like where you have to use the same object or you want to clone this particular object, right? So we can still use, so what is meant by cloning? So cloning is like having a similar object structure without modifying any data. You want all the properties, behavior as it is you have in your wrapper class. So for that, we have something called clone method provided by object wrapper class dot clone. So this is nothing but it wraps or creates your own object as you wanted. Okay, so let me just skip through this section. So now if you see the return type of this particular clone, it's an object. So I can wrap it to any kind of object. So let me have that too. So what is happening here? So the clone is returning me a cast of object method, right? This is giving me the class object. But now I'm trying to map it to my wrapper class. So my topmost class here is object. Topmost is object, and below that object only I have my wrapper class. So what I'm trying to do is this particular wrapper class is a subclass object, and this subclass object I'm trying to clone, which gives me the parent class, but internally I wanted to wrap it to my child class called wrapper class. So what I need to do is I need to give an explicit typecast mentioning that I'm going to do this subclass object reference to this particular class which I wanted. So whenever you're trying to customize it, you can customize it to the respective class unless they have a relationship. Right now, your wrapper class is a child class to your object class. So if you have your another class, say inheritance test, that is also a child of object class. So by default, all the classes which you create are child of object classes. So that is the reason you're able to do the casting very easily. And let's see now what is the memory address of this particular cloned object. Is it the same memory address or is it a different memory address? Can someone predict what would be the memory address for the cloned object? Same memory address? Okay. What is the issue you get now?
Flow not supported.
Yeah. So there's something called clone not supported. This is happening in the runtime exception, right? So let's go to the clone method. If you see, there's something called clone. So can someone read this description? Yeah. Better than me explaining. If you read this, it can give you more understanding. Can someone give me read this one?
Create and returns a copy of this object. The precise meaning of copy may depend on the class of the object. The general intent is that for any object, quote X, the
Expression x dot clone not equal to x will be true. So basically, the object whichever you're cloning will not be equal to this particular object which you have cloned from, will never be equal to. And that we're going to experiment right now. I'm not going to wrap it here. Instead, let me first create it as an object. Okay. So now let me say obj is an instance of wrapper class. So this instance of is a keyword which tells you when, unless you have a relationship between parent and child, it can help you to identify whether this particular object class falls into this particular child class relation or not. So let's experiment that now. Just a moment. you. Sorry for that confusion. So let's create one object now here. Can someone say, like, without having a default constructor, I'm creating a parameterized constructor. And when I'm creating an object, I'm trying to use default constructor here. Will this work, or will it throw me any errors at compile time or at runtime?
It will work.
Will it work?
Yeah.
No, I'm getting an error here. You see here. So expected one argument, but found 0. So whenever you're creating an object or your class structure, always make sure, like, if you're going only with parameterized, try to create an object with parameterized constructor. Else, by default, the default constructor will not work if you have created explicitly a parameterized constructor. So in this case, if I have this commented, and then if though I don't have my default constructor, if I'm creating an object in this format, it will work. But if you have something predefined as parameterized and you wanted to use a default constructor, it will never work. So you have to explicitly generate a default constructor every time. So only then you will be able to create an object without the parameterized. Otherwise, it will always throw you a compile time error. So basically this you will experiment in the inheritance concept whenever you're having multiple classes where your parent class will not have the default constructor, but in your child class, you're having a default constructor. So whenever you're using the super keyword to override your constructors, then that will not be a possible and you'll mess up with the compile time issue whenever you're creating an object for that particular child. So make sure that you are going to invoke only through parameterized, then you don't need to have a default. But if you're trying to create an object with default without having a default, but having only parameters, it will throw a compile time error. Okay. So now let's create one more object with parameterized. So now I wanted to clone. So basically the clone is like whatever object you are having, it will clone exactly the same attributes as you have it. So what I'm going to do is for the same parameterized constructor, I'm going to wrap it. But instead of wrapping it to a by creating a new object, I'm going to use the same object which I have created in the wrap param. I'm going to use this clone method, and I'm going to typecast it to the object which I need, because the clone will always return an object class. So you have to typecast your wrapper class. So I'm trying with both default constructor and the parameterized constructor. The first one is by default the same thing. And now I'm creating another object wrapper class, and that is having a different object. So there are two separate objects. Now in this particular class, the one which is getting initiated for the first time is having a clone object. Okay. And that particular object is getting wrapped with the same properties which you have is in the wrapper class, but I'm using the same hash code. So whenever I'm cloning my since this is a default constructor, you're not able to witness the properties here. Only you'll be able to address the hash code. So in this hash code, it will be still pointing to a new memory location. So though you clone, it will be treated as a separate object. That is the first property you need to understand. The second one, whenever you're trying to clone with the parameterized constructor, this is getting called, right? So whenever I create an object, I need to have the constructor invoked, and whatever it is within the constructor will be printed that many times. So in this case, when I created a parameterized constructor, this is getting called with parameters. So I got the name got printed for the first time, and then the respective hash code got printed. But the second time, I'm cloning the object. So I'm not using a new wrapper class, I'm cloning. So I'm using already created object. And on top of that, I'm converting it to an object. So there is no need of invocation of constructor here. So what happened here is directly you're able to use the object structure directly without invoking any constructor. So only one time all your properties or rules has to be followed. For the second time, whenever you're using as a clone, none of the rules will be followed. You're just going to use that copy as it is under wrap param one reference name. That's it. So what did I do and what did I mess earlier is I didn't override this object clone method earlier. So for your clone method is object coming from object class. So this is a native method. Okay. And in this you'll have your method clone. So in this particular clone method, wherever you're using, in whichever class you're using, you have to explicitly say, I'm going to clone this object. So by how do you mention that in your inheritance concept using super keyword? Same way, I'm going to say like from my object class to my wrapper class, I'm going to use this method called clone, where I'll be using all the objects get created with the help of this. And that is the reason I was able to clone it here. Earlier, I was getting clone not supported exception because I didn't override this particular feature here using super keyword. That was my first issue. The second thing, wrapper param equal to wrap param 1. The condition is false. Now let's have one more condition. Wrap param dot name equal to wrap param dot name. I saying this dot name, right? So what happened here, when I'm checking the properties of particular name, those values are getting matched because they are cloned. But this particular instance are two different objects, but that is saying not equal, which is false. Why so? So there's something concept called, there's a difference between double equal to with respect to memory and with respect to properties. And how can you differentiate that? So there's also one more thing I can do here. Wrapper name dot equals of this. So this is also one of the way to equal, and this is also one of the way to use the equals. But this equals is coming from which class? This is coming from object class. Okay. So if you see, this particular equals is again coming from my topmost class in my Java, which is object class. And here what I'm doing is I'm again comparing the current object is equal to this object. So either way, if you use it as directly equal to or with the method equals, both are internally doing the same thing. But what is the difference between this? When I compare the properties, I'm getting the result set as true. Whereas when I'm comparing the result, I'm getting the, let me rerun again. So when I compared my object, right, still I get it as false. So even if I use double equal to or use equals method, I get both the way the value as false. But when I use double equal to in case of properties, I'm getting the value as true. So in Java, there's a difference between equals and equals method. Okay. So what it does is, in this is with respect to your object location or your memory address. So with respect to memory address, this particular equal to works. And this also works for when you're comparing two primitive values or two integer values or float values. In that case, it will just compare as a value. But in terms of objects, it will always compare as your memory address. Whereas here, in terms of this, it is comparing with your value, which is holded in that particular memory address. So that is the difference between the attribute equals to and the memory equals to. So far, any questions here? So we're just learning what are the methods we have it in the object class and how we can use it in our code flow. You will be experimenting the clone method in detail once we cover to the concept interfaces in a better way. But right now, you just need to understand what happens in the clone structure. So you'll get your object created, but it's just a copy, not like usual object creation. But your properties, everything will be mapped as it is you have in your original object. That is what the clone does. But still it holds a different memory address. All your address will be a different one. Completely, it's like a different person or a different thing. It will not be the same thing which is holding the same name. It's a different memory, but having the same properties. That is where the clone comes into picture. Basically, it reduces your object creation overload whenever you're trying to create through your constructors. So if you're good, we'll see much into this part now. If you have any questions, you can ask me now. No questions? Janaki, Kiruba, Divya.
It's
This
clear.
one, yeah, maybe when we work with clone, we might get
Yeah,
some
you will be
doubts.
working with
That's
the
one, it's
clone
okay.
concept once you learn your inheritance completely. Till then, you might not understand what is actually happening. But in that case, let me say that let me print the value. If it is equal, let me print my name else. So this is equal because my objects are getting cloned, and so that is the reason my condition got satisfied, and I'm getting the value 90 for both the cases. Even if I print wrapparam1.name, I should be able to see the wrapparam1 is the cloned object, right? Even now I should see only 90 as my value for the name. So this is what the clone works. Now here, this is not equal to anyway, right? So if I give not equal to and print wrapparam dot get class, So this is still pointing in the same object. So that is the reason if I give get class, I can see here as a wrapper class. If I give my cloned object, let me give this one. Get class. You still see the wrapper class. So though you clone, your class reference, everything remains same. Only thing is your memory address is getting changed. So if you see right now here, after this particular scenario, the second one is having a different hash code and the first one is having a different hash code. But the property which I'm using as a clone reference in both the cases is having the same value. Okay. So if you understand what is the purpose of these methods right now, that should be good. In detail, we'll be exploring once you come into the concept called collections. So yeah, you can join the second invite. We'll see further on the typecasting.